Have you ever noticed that Blackbeard's Jolly Roger is just 3 skulls? Doesn't that feel like such an oddly specific choice that might just turn out to be an important hint? Because that's his Jolly Roger. It's supposed to reflect the identity of him and his crew. Yet it has nothing to do with his epithet of Blackbeard. Which, to be fair, pre-time skip, the beard part wasn't really there yet. But still, to have 3 skulls as his Jolly Roger feels like a statement. And I think it's a key clue on why Blackbeard is destined to have a 3rd Devil Fruit, which will be a mythical Zoan that will be his strongest power. You see, when Blackbeard first appeared in Jaya, his personality really stood out. He had this fun young sibling vibe with Luffy where they disagreed on everything, but he also showed some incredibly strong conviction that rivaled Luffy.
海賊が夢を見る時代が終わるって？おい！人の夢は終わらねえ!
But while all of this was happening in Mocktown, Oda subtly threw in some really intriguing information. Because as that scene ended, Luffy and Zoro pointed out there was something off about Blackbeard, and he was not alone. Now, you might be thinking that they were probably referring to the other Blackbeard pirates that were also in Jaya, and while that might be true, this could go hand in hand with some other clues we know about Blackbeard. Because eventually when he ate his 2nd Devil Fruit at Marineford, Marco specifically said, as you know, Teach isn't normal. His body is odd. Maybe that explains it. On top of that, in the Oden flashback, we see Shanks and Buggy once again talking about how Blackbeard's body is weird and that he doesn't sleep. You see how this might be all connected? Because Oda is someone that is known for amazing foreshadowing despite writing such an extensive story. For example, in chapter 1, all the way back in Fuchsia Village, we saw Shanks use Conqueror's Haki. Yet in the story, we never even see the words Conqueror's Haki until chapter 591 in Amazon Lily. So Oda is great at setting up obscure foundational clues that continue to build as the story goes on. And the same thing could be happening with these clues about Blackbeard's body to eventually explain how he's able to eat multiple devil fruits. Especially when we tie these clues together with the first thing that we mentioned in this video, Blackbeard's Jolly Roger. Because if Luffy and Zoro felt that Blackbeard was multiple people, and he has a weird body that lets him eat multiple devil fruits, and his Jolly Roger has 3 skulls, at the very least, I think Oda is foreshadowing that Blackbeard will have 3 devil fruits. And because we've seen how much Blackbeard values devil fruits, I think his final devil fruit has to be a mythical Zoan. Because although Blackbeard can be reckless at times, like in Impel Down, where his pirate journey nearly ended because he underestimated Magellan, which by the way, I think a lot of people do, we gotta stop sleeping on Magellan, but despite being kind of a reckless person, the one thing Blackbeard has been meticulously planning for is gathering devil fruit powers. This is a man that studied the devil fruit encyclopedia and memorized every single fruit and its shape, and then waited 20 years on Whitebeard's ship just for the sake of getting the fruit that he wanted. But that's not all. He then carried out a plan to hand in Ace to the world government to become a warlord just to free level 6 prisoners at Impel Down. And while you might be thinking he only did that just to get himself a stronger crew, you gotta remember the next move that he made was to take that strong crew to Marineford so he had the power to take Whitebeard down and steal his fruit. For Blackbeard, the key to becoming the Pirate King or whatever other dreams he has is devil fruits. And what is the strongest type of devil fruit? It's mythical Zoans, the rarest fruit in the world. So why would Blackbeard not go after a mythical Zoan? I think you know the answer. He's either already doing that or he's already done it. What's even more exciting though is imagining the devastating powers of Blackbeard with a mythical Zoan. Like at the beginning of Wano when we saw the devastating power of Kaido's devil fruits, there were a lot of theories that Blackbeard was gonna once again steal the show and take Kaido's fruit. Another popular option is Marco's very broken Phoenix fruit, which is actually my favorite devil fruit in the story, so that would be my pick. But with mythical Zoans, there's so much potential to explore different mythological inspirations or even create new ones. So I think Blackbeard's final mythical Zoan will be a brand new one that we've never seen before, and he might already have it. Because maybe the reason why his body is weird and why he's able to eat multiple devil fruits is because of a devil fruit he already has. After all, a lot of the weird stuff we see in the story comes from the power of devil fruits. So now we're gonna play a game called rank that theory. We're gonna go through the most popular and obscure Blackbeard devil fruit theories that are the most interesting, break them down and give each theory a rating to find out what Blackbeard's mythical Zoan really is. And I definitely want you guys to play along in the comments. And to kick this game off, the first theory we have is Blackbeard is an octopus. This is a theory by my guy 3vol, and if you've never heard of it before, I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, this sounds just like silly headcanon with no evidence, but it's actually quite the opposite because 3vol has dug up some really strong supporting arguments. And you might change your mind on this theory if we just change one word in the title, making it Blackbeard is a kraken. Doesn't that sound a lot more interesting? Because that's the actual theory. 3vol theorizes that Blackbeard has a mythical Zoan kraken fruit. And the biggest piece of supporting evidence once again goes back to Blackbeard's Jolly Roger, which we already know has 3 skulls, but right behind those 3 skulls are also 8 bones. And if you haven't made the connection yet, an octopus has 8 tentacles. But what about the 3 skulls? Well, it turns out octopuses are actually one of the only animals with 3 hearts. And 3vol theorizes that is what makes Blackbeard's body weird and how he's able to eat multiple devil fruits. Besides that, you also have connections like octopuses using black ink and Blackbeard having the Yami Yami no Mi. Also, this cover page is pretty interesting because initially 3vol points out that the octopus is wearing a hat that looks kind of similar to Blackbeard's hat in the flashback, and I'm like, that feels like a bit of a stretch. It doesn't really look that similar. He then points out how the octopus is reading a book and one of Blackbeard's hobbies is studying history, and once again I'm like, okay, that's probably just a coincidence. But then he points out that the skull on Usopp's hat is the exact same design seen on every single Blackbeard pirate ship, but with Usopp features. That's a pretty specific coincidence that might not be one. Besides that, there's also the panel where Marco talks about Blackbeard's body, and directly next to him is a guy wearing an octopus hat. And if that wasn't enough, guess what Blackbeard's birthday is? August 3rd, and that is what I call a damn good theory. I'm gonna fittingly give it an 8 out of 10, but it's got great supporting evidence, it's an interesting idea, and really the only counter to it is that Oda really likes octopuses, so it might just all be a coincidence. On to the next theory though, we have one that's been in the community for a long time, which is Blackbeard being a Cerebus. Once again, the evidence here is pretty similar. With Blackbeard's Jolly Roger having 3 skulls, you can make that connection to a Cerebus, which has 3 heads. But besides that, there's really not that much more evidence to this theory. One of the main things that this theory relies on is a lie told by Usopp about seeing a Cerebus. And of course, Usopp's lies always come true. So could that lie he told actually be a massive hint at what Blackbeard's devil fruit is? I don't think so. Because first off, technically, we already saw a Cerebus back in Thriller Bark. It wasn't a real Cerebus, but Usopp's lies don't have to be true word for word. More importantly though, there's really just not any evidence supporting this theory. So for me, this theory is just like the Cerebus we saw in Thriller Bark. It's dead. It's a 2 out of 10 for me. But moving on to the next one, we have a theory from Reddit user Yassine Barriga, and this one focuses on Blackbeard's laugh. Because as they point out, characters' laughs sometimes is reflected with their devil fruit. Whitebeard's laugh is... and his devil fruit was the Goro Goro no Mi. Perona's laugh is... and her devil fruit is the Horo Horo no Mi. So with Blackbeard's laugh being... is his devil fruit the Zeha Zeha no Mi? Well, not quite, because as far as I know, there's no mythological creature called a Zeha. Instead, this theory talks about a Chinese mythological creature named Bai Zei, which in Japanese is called Hakutaku. And if you combine the end of the Chinese name with the beginning of the Japanese name, you get Zeha. And that's not all, because the creature itself has 9 eyes, but only has 3 eyes on its head, possibly connecting to the Jolly Roger of Blackbeard. And also the word Bai Zei directly translates to white marsh. So not only does that potentially connect to Blackbeard's first name of Marshall, but also possibly to Whitebeard, whose first name Edward is actually the first name of the real life Blackbeard. Besides that though, the rest of the evidence for this theory is a little shaky, because as I did my research on this mythological creature, there wasn't really a consistent story with it given how long it's been around. So any specifics that were mentioned, like it being an earthquake yokai, I'm hesitant to consider that strong evidence because it's just not consistent throughout different sources. So for me, this theory is about a 6.5 out of 10. It's an interesting, fresh idea with some intriguing evidence. The pessimist in me says that it's too obscure with not enough evidence, but I've been wrong before. So with that theory in the books, the one that has won for me is the Kraken theory with an 8 out of 10, but honestly, there's one more idea that I like even better. And I say idea because it's not really a theory, it's kinda just cool. And that is Blackbeard getting a mythical Zoan of a god. Now, if you're not yet caught up to the manga, there will be manga spoilers ahead, so you've been warned. But of course, now that we know that Luffy has a mythical Zoan of a god himself, I feel like Blackbeard, whose entire plan has revolved around devil fruits, needs one as well. Now that we know there are god devil fruits, I don't think the Nika fruit is the only one. At the very least, I would assume that Emu has a devil fruit like that. But Blackbeard is really the character I want to see get one, whether he already has one or gets his hands on one later. It's entirely possible that the correct theory about Blackbeard is that he actually has 3 souls, and that's how he's able to eat multiple devil fruits. And if that is the case, he could end up making a move on Emu, taking the god fruit for himself, setting us up with a battle between 2 gods. But that's it for this video. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace!